We talk a ton about women in construction, and there's a lot of women making a lot of changes and making a big impact on our industry. Job sites, technology, project delivery, leadership. Across the gamut of our industry, we have a lot of women impacting our industry. What we don't talk much about is women in construction who are actually behind the projects, women in our industry who are making association level type impacts and changes. What we're gonna get to discuss today is Meloni Raney, who's having a significant impact on our industry and specifically in the DFW area. Welcome to the PioneerCast. I'm DeWayne Ables, founder and president of Pioneer IQ. What I hope happens over the course of this PioneerCast is that you're able to understand how to lead beyond projects and profit. By listening to Meloni's story and her leadership journey, you can connect the dots of your career and help you to see your greater purpose and the impact that you have on the people at home and at work and ultimately in our industry. Meloni, thanks for hanging out with us today.
I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for hosting us. We're here in DFW at your headquarters.
Anytime.
This place is phenomenal, by the way.
We just renovated and opened April of 2025. So glad that you're seeing this version of the TEXO Conference Center.
It's amazing. So when I met you the first time, I think this was all under construction. So when you gave me the tour, I'm like, good gracious, there's all kinds of facilities here. And then I come in today, we have people doing safety training. We have something else going behind us. I mean, it's a hopping place.
It's construction training happening every day in every single room. It's a busy place.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to, I've personally heard your journey, but I'm excited for everybody else in the Pioneer community to hear your journey, learn from you, and hopefully connect some of their personal dots as you start to tell, your journey here. So let's just start off real quick. Give us a quick overview of the position you're in now and ultimately what you're trying to do. And there are a lot of people here who probably don't know TEXO. And so it'd be good for you to kind of give a little bit of an overview of TEXO as well, if you would.
Yeah, great to, or happy to. So TEXO is the Commercial Construction Association that serves the Dallas-Fort Worth region. And it's really more like non-residential because we include mission critical and data centers and anything in that also. But so we serve the Dallas-Fort Worth and then East Texas region. And the thing that makes us very, very unique is that we are a joint chapter of AGC, which is Associated General Contractors, and then ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors. And we're the only fully merged chapter in the country. And so when you join TEXO, you automatically become a member of both. And usually, anytime I say that outside of the DFW region, the first question I get is, how does that work?
Right.
And so in this market, it just works, and it has worked for 17 years. We merged in 2009. So TEXO serves the industry here in DFW, which is about $45 billion of construction work a year. TEXO is a team of 16 people that serves that industry, and I'm blessed enough to be the president and CEO for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Had to do that math real quick.
Yeah. Just for a quick shout out, you mentioned the folks out in East Texas. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they deserve a shout out. They're great people.
I grew up in Southeast Texas, so I'll just give a little shout out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Number one, I get to do work with design and construction companies all over the U.S. And I'm telling you, and I think you know this, like DFW's culture in the construction industry is very different. We've done a couple of videos on the culture in DFW. And when I'm in DFW, it doesn't really matter who I'm talking to. When I get down into where's the real community here, and then I get into the camaraderie, it almost always gets back to TEXO. And I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to you like legitimately. Right. We were at LGE a few weeks ago at an event, and it came up like 3 times. I think I sent you a selfie or two.
Yeah.
What is it about this region and the folks in our industry here that make it so unique and different? I mean, it's like, the camaraderie is crazy. Awesome.
It is. I honestly wish I could pinpoint exactly what it was, but I think there's several factors here. One is the fact that we're a merged chapter, I believe, because this industry did something really, really hard. It took them 10 years to merge ABC and AGC in this region, and it took many failed votes from both of those boards. But the industry came together and said, this is the best thing for DFW, and we're going to make sure that we do it, even if we have all sorts of barriers in the way. We're going to figure it out. And when you look at the giants in our industry that got behind that merger and pushed it forward, I think that was the first step because they got around a board table, they kind of fought it out, and they had lots of arguments, and they decided what was best, and then they just did it despite a ton of negative feedback from the outsiders. So I think that was a huge step forward for the industry. And then we've just had a concentrated effort on people and in a couple different areas. You want to have fun because this industry can be really hard and daunting. So you want to have fun, but then you also want to get better. And so we just have been investing in our people for the last 12, 13 years that I've been at TEXO, and everything we do is centered around people. So how can we make you better, both personally and professionally, at work and at home? And if you keep doing that, what we've found is that people keep coming back, and then you make friends. You're at events with people, you're in training with people. So you have a friendship, and we're out on a job site and you have an issue. Guess what? Let me just call my friend versus let me call somebody and have an adversarial conversation. Let me just call a friend and maybe we can figure this out. And I think it's been this ripple effect that started, back in 1995, 96, whenever they started this whole thing. And I think that we're seeing the benefits of a lot of hard work from a lot of giants in our industry.
Yeah, that's when we were both in elementary.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so y'all do some extraordinary events, and I don't necessarily need to get into them all now. We'll hit that in a little bit later, but that's the thing, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. I hadn't thought of it this way, but when I talk about TEXO and I ask someone what their involvement is, it's the weirdest thing. Because one of the electrical contractors that I met at the LGE event a few weeks back was, oh yeah, I was in the fishing tournament. I'm like, the what? Right? And granted, we're in Texas. I grew up in East Texas. I love Sam Rayburn. But you don't hear associations putting on bass fishing tournaments. Is that something that y'all do? I mean, it just seems to be really unique to you.
Yeah, we do a lot of unique events. I mean, we have a Masters tournament networking event coming up, in April for that. We do a pickleball tournament, a softball tournament, of course, obviously the all the normal stuff, the clay shoots and the golf tournaments. But I do think you have to change it up every year. People don't want to do the same thing year after year after year. And thankfully, we have an amazing team here at TEXO that's very creative, and they come up with all sorts of fun ideas. We had an award ceremony at the Fort Worth Zoo for 2 years. And so you took pictures with the giraffes or the elephants. That's unique, so that's something that people remember and stand out. So we just try to be creative and not do the same thing over and over and over. And that's in all areas. But I'd say the events probably get the most traction of. We also do the Challenge Cup. So people compete throughout all the events.
Right.
So if you catch the biggest bass, you get a few more extra points.
Right.
But that's also plays on the spirit of camaraderie and just competition that our industry, we have. Let's be honest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have made me think of something, and I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. Our world in general tries to get us to pick sides, and it's just kind of a way phenomenal marketers have figured out how to work on our society through social media and other things. However, when I meet people from TEXO and we get into conversations, I don't feel like TEXO people pick one side or the other. I feel like they're unified with some bigger purpose or some bigger picture. Can you articulate that, or am I throwing this from left field? Or I don't know how to put my hand on that or articulate what that bigger thing is that I hear them fighting for.
There's a couple sayings that always float around the TEXO events, and it's, iron sharpens iron, and then a rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that is what we've been organically forming here at TEXO for quite a few years, and it is genuinely a place where if you want to level up and you want to be around people who are going to challenge you and push you to be better, this is the community for you. I've had a couple of contractors recently reach out to me and say, I think that I'm ready to join TEXO now. They've been working towards getting there. And one, I want to say you're always welcome at TEXO, even if you don't feel like you're there yet. But it was an interest. It made my mind think a little bit, why do they think that they have to do some things internally before they're ready to get to the TEXO level? And that's what I came back to, was maybe they needed to get to a place to where culturally they knew it was going to level up. And so they needed to be ready for that mentality to be fed into and challenged and pushed maybe in some areas that you weren't ready to be pushed in yet. Because these are friendships where people are in your wedding, they're at the birth of your child. These are lifelong friends that you're meeting in the TEXO community. And that changes people. I mean, this afternoon I'm hosting 30 people from the AEC industry at my house that just happen to live like in a 4-mile radius of me.
Oh, wow. Right.
And so I'm having them to my house, which is to me a more special relationship and friendship than just we're going to go meet somewhere at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's just a tighter knit community. And I think that's, if I had to pinpoint it, would say that's why.
Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so there are a few things that I would love to get in conversation about. One is I'm excited for you to communicate your journey, right, and going all the way back to when you were a kid kind of deal, all the way to where you are today. The second thing I want to get into, and I'm hoping everybody sticks with us on this, is I believe that there are some real issues in our industry, specifically with how we're leading people, how we're treating people, and the people element. So I'm really wanting to pick your brain on what you're seeing here and how what your personal opinion is on how to fix some of this stuff. And then thirdly, I'd love to get into your recommendation on how people get involved with TEXO, because I think TEXO is a huge association and a lot of people, but I think some people may be a little intimidated on how to get involved and where to jump in.
Okay.
So those three. Okay, so let's jump into your leadership journey. So what I'm hoping happens here is that as we start to talk through your journey, and I've heard this before, so I know it's there. When you communicated to me kind of your journey of life, I clearly heard things and people, events and people that propelled you from one, way marker in life to the next one, right? And so help us connect the dots from one stage of life to the next as we kind of hear your journey.
It's funny looking back on my life. I just feel like it's this big puzzle that the Lord just kind of orchestrated in a certain manner, which is how he works. But I'm from Oklahoma originally. My parents still live there. Super small town. Career development wasn't really a thing back then.
Right.
But I had I loved math, 100% a math nerd. And so I had a math teacher who kind of pushed me towards the engineering route. So I wanted to do like a structural engineering because I love buildings and how things go together. And that just did not end up working out as my path. So that lasted for 2 days. And then I picked up architecture and decided that was probably the closest thing with people that are more my personality. And so a couple of years into the architecture route, I noticed all of these guys down in the basement, and they were working on how the building actually went together. And I was curious what that was, and come to find out it was construction management, which I didn't even know was really a thing, even though we were in the same college together at OU. And so I picked up construction management as a minor, really fell in love with the design build process. And I had a professor there who was a mentor of mine, and he said, you really need to consider Beck. It's a design build, fully integrated design build firm. You can do architecture, construction, and they really appreciate architecture. So oftentimes design build is more construction heavy, and so the design gets a little bit, it's just less important. And he said Beck really appreciates architecture and then a quality contractor. So I interned with him and thankfully didn't mess that up enough where they hired me back whenever I graduated, and I joined them in 2005 and started in the architecture route and then asked to be moved to a construction site. And they put me out there within 6 months of joining the team. So I got out to the downtown Dallas in the winter up on scaffolding. So that wind was a little bit brutal, but it was a blast. I loved it. And I was there for 9 years. A great experience. And I can't be thankful enough for that time that I spent there.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to jump on this. If you are an emerging leader who's really trying to find your way, or if you're responsible for emerging leaders and you're helping them find their way, she just gave you a great tip. And the tip was you had originally investigated in structural engineering, and then you used the word personality. And this is where so many people take the wrong term on accident. People need to understand that your personality traits and how you're wired really does help determine the path that you go down.
Right.
And you obviously went from something that would be much more data and design driven, where you're not as people focusing as these other ones are, into architecture and then project management, construction management, which is very much people focused. Communication, personality, all those things become really critical.
So true. I walked into the architecture college when I was trying to figure this out, and it was complete chaos. There was a big old Red Bull thing in the corner that was completely empty because they drank it all the night before. Cardboard was everywhere. Music was blaring, and I was like, I think I found my people.
Yeah.
I think I can do this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself slightly miserable in your job, it might not just be your employer. It could just be your position, right? Something to think about. So
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. So Beck, DFW, Cold Wind, 10 years.
Yep.
What was the next event or person that helped you propel to the next milestone?
So in that 9 years there, I noticed that we're amazing at building. We can build anything.
Yeah.
And I've always been a learner of leadership. It's just something that I've always kind of leaned towards. And I just noticed that we weren't equipping people in construction to be good leaders.
Absolutely.
We were equipping them to be really technical and to go build anything. And so I just had this passion inside of me to go work on that. Beck had put me through several leadership courses, and so that was the way that I was thinking is how can I go help equip more leaders? And about that time, TEXO was looking for somebody to run their leadership programs, essentially. And so I came on board here at TEXO, and another thing that I'll brag on Beck about is that they fully supported me coming to the association, which is rare.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful that it was a supportive move because they knew it would help me and the industry. So I came here to lead the leadership programs for the entire industry.
So one thing I want to jump on, a second point. This is really good. Thank you for bringing this up. I think there are a lot of people who sit in positions because they don't want to disappoint the people who gave them an opportunity. And when we start to realize as leaders that person's purpose as an individual is more important than our expectations for them, the level of empowerment and the impact that we can have on their life is immense.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank God for whoever that was at Beck that was leading in that perspective.
Yeah. I had a couple mentors there, and I think one of the hardest days of my life was going in and telling him that I had this opportunity, and I had planned on retiring from Beck, and so it was tough. But he did a pros and cons with me, and I'm very thankful for that experience. It's taught me a lot in life about being a mentor.
That's awesome. And I would assume that your experience there had a big impact on how your ability to relate to the members and the association and the companies here.
They're all intertwined, right?
Yeah,
every single interaction gives you a little bit of insight into what other people are going through and some empathy on the situation.
So fast forwarding to today, over the 13 years, where I'd really like to spend a little bit of time is you have a sensitivity and an eye for the need for leadership, right? Walk me through some of the challenges that you see in our industry, and then secondly, how some of those challenges are improving right now.
The challenges definitely change. I feel like every few years we go through cycles. One of the biggest challenges that we have right now is we don't have enough people.
Right.
And then we have a couple of gaps in our industry, age gaps in our industry, which means we have experience gaps because there are a couple different recessions that have happened. And when recessions happen, we don't have as many people studying construction in the colleges or going into the trades. And so we have a couple of gaps, experience gaps. And so people are being promoted faster than they maybe are necessarily ready for. And so we have been asked by a lot of companies to help take people from a technical role into more of a managerial and leadership role. And when you start putting people under your responsibility, your role drastically changes and your time is not your own anymore. It goes to the people. And so that is probably one of the biggest things right now that we've been asked to help. And members, thankfully now we have really solid conversations with our members. So they're coming to us ahead of time. How we got that started was we were going to them. Every year asking them, what training do you need? What training do you need? What training? How can we help you? And so now we've developed a culture to where we're working with companies before they're rolling things out. And it's organically happened, thankfully. But that is by far the biggest issue right now that I would say. The other thing that comes to mind is just the communication skills and soft skills that I think maybe it's the home, maybe it's the schooling, maybe it's, I don't blame it on whatever you want, but the soft skills and the interaction, the handshaking, the eye contact, the putting your phone down in a meeting, those soft skills are not being taught as readily. My mom would have slapped me silly if I wouldn't have, shaken somebody's hand. She really wouldn't if she's a sweet lady. But that's like they were the ones that taught me that, and I just don't know if that's happening nowadays.
Correct. So this is where the two of us really connected. I mean, we've been around each other and met each other several years ago. But when I heard you say this maybe 2 years ago, I mean, we're on the same vision together, and that truly is my connection point with TEXO. Is this organization absolutely cares about people and helping people to impact others, not just build projects. And I really like that about the organization and your specific focus. It's a really big deal. We're finding that there's a significant struggle right now between people who are capable versus people who are trained. And what we have found, and you and I have talked about this off camera, is we've got so many great people in this industry at executive and management roles who are picking really good people, but they aren't properly training and equipping them. And it's primarily because they weren't trained and equipped either.
Right.
And so it's almost like we're defending both parties here. But the challenges that we see leading in 2026 and 2027 is so much more complicated.
Yes,
People are complicated.
Yes.
And I had an engineer tell me the other day, you can't fix a people problem with a calculator. It's so true.
That should be written somewhere in stone.
So I appreciate that effort that y'all are exerting, and I'm happy that we're getting to do some of that stuff with you as well. Do you see any other like substantial challenges right now that our industry is facing that maybe we don't have a full solution for yet?
Getting people into the trades.
Yeah.
And getting people into construction, period.
Yeah.
There's just a perception out there that is so false about our industry, and it's almost like construction is the last resort.
Yeah.
If you fail at everything else, then you can go into construction. And that is so untrue. And I feel like that is our number one thing that we combat is coming in. The trades are a very respectable career. And I think half of it is just educating the guidance counselors in high schools.
Yes.
As not everybody has to go to college. Like there are post-secondary education routes that aren't necessarily a 4-year college degree. You can go into the trades. And I have a stepson that's in his first year of electrical apprenticeship. He goes to school every Thursday night for 4 hours.
Wow.
So he's working 40, 50 hours a week and then going to his post-secondary education on a Thursday night. That's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that boy is working a ton, and I'm so proud of him because he knew that this was a better route for him, and he kind of did a bold thing and said yes to it. And we need to make sure that that's okay. And I feel like we've just tried to tell students that you have to go a certain route.
Yeah.
But our craft professionals in the state of Texas, the average age of a plumber is 55. And electricians, with all the data centers that are happening right now, we can't find enough electricians.
Yep.
So the craft professional route and career is something that we need to respect more and promote more, that TEXO is really trying to address head on with awareness and just campaigns to get more people into it.
Yeah, no doubt. So I've got 3 boys, and one's a sophomore at K-State in construction science, and
Nice.
I've got a senior and a junior, all of which are kind of heading into the construction zone, if you will.
Do they want to move to DFW?
Well, we're talking about that.
Okay, good.
We're in the
Good,
middle
good,
of
good.
opening an office down
I
here
can help,
anyway.
you
Right. But it's interesting because I have seen something happen in the last 4 years. Now, granted, I've started the business in 2000 when I was 4 years old, right?
Right, yeah.
But what I've seen over the last 4 or 5 years have been unbelievable. So we have companies right now and some organizations where they're literally developing a passion for high school kids, right? And what's interesting, like Metro Air is an MEP contractor that we work with, and they literally are going into specific high schools in their area, and they're talking to these kids, and there's actually construction classes in these high schools, and then they're bringing these kids over to their shops and getting them like ingrained, and they're talking to them and treating them like adults, right?
Yes.
And what they're doing is they're giving them a vision. And I'm seeing all these kids going, well, why would I go spend 4 years in college? And the leaders of that organization going, I don't know either, because you could probably make within $80,000 within 4 years if you just came down this route, right?
And you're going to get an education.
You're going to get an education, right? It's unbelievable. I love seeing that, and some of the internship programs are phenomenal. Like one of y'all's members is Saris, and Saris Builders and Systems has a phenomenal internship program.
Yes.
Where they literally teach people pre-con and all the other things, right? But one thing that stuck out to me as Sam was at K-State, and I mean, this blew my mind. I literally work with hundreds of contractors all over the country. When Sam was a freshman at K-State, he's at Fiji, and there are a lot of design and construction guys in Fiji. He had something like 7 or 8 internship offers within the first couple of months of being a freshman. I'm like, they don't even know much yet.
Oh, yeah.
But it's crazy. And then you go tell that to other people, and they're like, wow. So there's a group of people in our industry who actually understand going in early, and others, they're still kind of on a 1975, recruit them and, get them in here ball game, right?
Yeah.
But a lot more people pushing down early. Are you seeing the same thing?
Oh, 100%. Well, and K-State has a good following. Yeah. So there's certain contractors that like to recruit from K-State.
Yeah.
And so that probably has something to do with it too.
Yeah.
But it's the same. They're getting job offers sometimes sight unseen.
Yeah.
And the hard part is I feel like that can create a certain mentality when you come into the industry also that we're having to combat a little bit. But the opportunities are endless in construction, and there are so many different ways you can go to law school and get into the construction. You can be marketing and get into construction.
Yes.
So it's just this awareness of construction is one of the biggest drivers of the economy. When you think about it, we build every building or road that the economy drives on or is built in. I mean, we are a huge driver. And so Texas, in the state of Texas, the GDP for construction is twice the national average.
Yeah.
So in Texas, it's about 6%. The national average is about 3%. Like in Texas, construction is a massive economic driver.
Yes.
And so anytime I sit down with anybody at the state level, it's listen, you don't want to shut down construction. You want to help us keep moving because we are a economic engine for the state.
Yeah.
Help us.
Absolutely.
Help you.
Okay, Melanie, so I have been in several areas of the country within the last, let's just say 12 months. And what I see here at TEXO in the DFW area, I don't see in other places. And I'll give you some specific. I'm up in the Pac Northwest. I'm in Kansas City. I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm in areas where you have union and non-union. And then when I come here, it feels very different. So I'm trying to understand how in the world did y'all get this to work? Because I've actually pushed for this in other cities, one of which I've mentioned, and it is like it's not even possible. They thought I was an idiot. So how did you get it to work here? I really don't understand that.
Part of this is people that happened way before me, and so some of those questions would probably have to come to them. But I do know that it was a really big hurdle that they had to overcome to figure it out. And so, ABC is open shop, merit shop, free enterprise, and AGC is representing the industry, no matter, labor affiliation. So those are the two distinct differences. But to me, the free enterprise and the merit shop is you have a right to choose.
Yeah.
You have a right to choose if you want to go to an open shop contract or if you want to go to the union. And so I think the industry here is for that. You get to make that decision. You need to make a well-informed decision, and so you need to have hopefully all of the information given to you. But then I think that is how the contractors here have just excelled, is the fact that they know that the employees get to make a decision. And so you have to create a company that they want to work at and they want to be at so that they don't leave. And so it's put an emphasis on the people and the training. And I think that's, we have an amazing craft training entity, Construction Education Foundation, that trains 8 crafts. And that's how that was born. When ABC and AGC were starting to merge or starting to have the discussions to merge, they moved craft training out, and really both entities, AGC and ABC, got behind that craft training because they knew that you had to train them. And in DFW, I believe the union presence used to be around 3.5% to 4%. So not a huge portion of the industry is represented in that manner. And it has just worked here. And I think that the companies came together and they just said, we're going to train our people really well, and our our employees have a right to choose, but we're going to create companies where we train them and equip them to be the best professional they can be. And so the employees have chosen to stick with the companies that they're at. And so
when people start to hear that I'm affiliated with TEXO, literally the first thing they ask is, how do we get that to work here? And I really want to say, well, there's really no hope, because some of these places, it's just some places it didn't feel like there's any hope. But I don't have an intelligent response to that. Like, what would you say is the key to helping it work anywhere?
Well, I do think that you're right. I do think that there are some markets that it just probably wouldn't work just because of the dynamics of the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that is the dynamic of the market. The reason TEXO worked is because the industry got together and said, this is the best thing for it. Members pushed it. So it wasn't any of the chapters that pushed it. It was members 100%. I'll have some people talk to me about other associations, like, or other parts of the state of Texas. And I'm like, we don't touch that. It's we are a member-driven association. And so whatever the members need, want, push for, that is what, TEXO will go and do. And so that to me is the response that I've had a lot of chapters have this conversation with me. And that is always my response. It's member-driven. And so if the members get together and feel like they can make this work in the market, do it. And the stories that I've been told, I was told some today actually, is the members here in DFW got tired of going to 2 of everything. Yeah. And they weren't opposed. In the state of Texas, they were together on all the issues. And so there was really no reason to be separate entities. And so they just pushed hard and formed the merger.
As you're talking, I'm literally sitting here thinking, all of that started with a few people deciding to do it differently. And I sit here and wonder, like, in the areas that I talked about, the Seattle, Pac Northwest, the California area, Kansas City, like, I just wonder if there are people who are ready to create change and start a movement. I mean, that's basically what happened here.
When I think about it, it's really all that I know. I came here 3 years after the merger, and even whenever I was at Beck, I was a little bit active here, but not much. And so literally this is the only thing that I know. Mm-hmm. But when I think back to what those members had to do to make this happen, they were doing something that had happened nowhere else in the country. And probably they hadn't even talked about it anywhere else in the country. But it was enough people with a vision to say DFW is forward thinking enough to realize that this is the best thing for our industry, even if other people tell us that we can't do this or it's not smart or, all of the things that I'm sure that they were told. But, it's when you see the list of people, it's all of the large GCs and all of the large specialty. The leaders had a vision and they pulled together and made it happen.
I love that.
Trailblazers, truly.
No doubt. I was about to say pioneers, but trailblazers is the same thing. It's people stepping up, deciding to do something different, and pulling people along with them. So it's Women in Construction Week. It's something I think is heavily celebrated now. I would just love to take the opportunity to get your opinion on a couple of what I believe are really important questions.
Okay.
Number one question, and then I'll give you the second question as well. Number one is, I'm curious to know, in 2026, 2027, what's the advantage of women in leadership roles? Like, in my opinion, I think there's some advantages. And then secondly, this may be a little controversial, but I love your opinion. Are there still barriers or disadvantages to women being in leadership roles in our industry? So we'll start with the easy one first.
Good. I like it. I appreciate that. First off, a huge shout out to NAWIC for creating Women in Construction Week.
Yep.
And I don't remember how many years ago they did it, but I think it has just grown exponentially. So big shout out to NAWIC National for doing something like this. Not a shocker, I'm a huge proponent of women in construction.
Right.
It's definitely my passion because I think it is such a good industry for women. And yet we rarely think about it as a potential industry. And so first and foremost, you pretty much always stand out because you're different. Mm-hmm. So most meetings that I'm in, I'm typically the only female and have been almost my entire career. I feel like I'm kind of wired that way. So it's never really been a major issue for me. There are sometimes that it stands out, but and then the other thing is we think differently. Mm-hmm. Males and females are created to think differently. And I firmly believe that the Lord did that on purpose.
Yep.
And so if I'm sitting around a table with all males, or if I'm on a project with all males, my brain is going to think a little bit differently than everybody else sitting around there. And I had a professor at OU, and he is the one that ingrained this in my head, because as an architecture major, construction management minor, I usually sat at the back corner. They didn't make me, but that's kind of just where I felt my place was, because I wasn't an construction management major. And projects came around and you had to pick your teams. I was probably given which team I was going to be on because I wasn't chosen to be on a team. And we were we were the highest scoring project, and the professor made a point to say, what is different about this team? And he brought up two things about me, and he said she's an architecture major and she's a female. So she thinks differently than pretty much, there were two females in the class, me and another Melanie, actually. And so...
Wait, two Melanies?
Two Melanies, I know. Spelled differently, but, yeah, crazy. And so, but that actually stood out to me, and I've remembered that ever since, because he's right. Our design was different. Our schedule was different. Like, I was able to bring a component, and he, instead of that being a negative, put it as a really positive for the team. And so I love that tone that he set with me and then everybody in the class of, don't think of that as a negative that she's a female. Think about that as you maybe want to get her on your team next time, because she thinks a little different. And so that has always stuck with me in every scenario, is you bring something unique to the table. You have unique gifts. And so I think that there's just so many opportunities for women that we need to use. We need to be more vocal about and be proud of it. I love to have my hard hat in my car and wear my boots, and I love to say that I'm in construction.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing career for me.
Absolutely. So I was on a plane this morning, and on the plane there were people from Kiewit and J.E. Don and several companies, and when you see somebody on an airplane with a hard hat on their backpack, like, you know what kind of person that is, right? I love that.
You know what I love is when I pull up to a restaurant for lunch and all the white trucks are backed in. I'm like, these are my people. I'm about to see some TEXO members.
I'm with you on that, 100%. So over the last 4 or 5 years, we've spent a lot of time researching cultures, and I've uncovered something that I have a really strong belief in. So I'd be interested to get your opinion on this, or change my perspective. I really would value that. Here's what I'm learning. In 2025, 2026, people are so emotionally wired. It's like we're emotionally engaged when we're at our best, right? And I think this has evolved over time.
Yeah.
But if we really want to get people's attention, if we really want to lead them or hold them accountable or really do anything that's productive, that emotional engagement piece is mission critical. And I have seen it be so much easier for women to emotionally connect with people. And I don't know if it's the male or female differences or the more empathetic approach typically, right? But I think the empathetic mindset and heart, and also their ability to emotionally connect, is the missing piece when we're talking about men. Now, there are some men who can do that, but in general, there's a way higher percentage of women. It's actually something that we teach people as we're helping them transition from project manager to leading people in teams. It's a lot harder than we thought it'd be to teach that. But I think that's an element there. Is that real?
Oh, I think it's 100% real. And the empathy part is, I'm sure that there's a leadership book out there that is putting stuff in my head right now, but I mean, empathy is right there next to trust, I think, is a foundational principle for any, and this world is heavy right now. There's just no denying that. I mean, I think family lives are heavy, work is heavy, the political climate is heavy, and people just feel this emotional fatigue oftentimes, and it doesn't take much to scratch the surface, and the emotion that comes back is probably not even triggered by anything I just talked about. It's all of these surrounding things that are impacting you right now. And but I firmly believe that women are just wired to have a little bit more of that emotional and empathetic brain. And I think it's probably the motherhood instinct is probably what's kicking in there. But I actually heard a sermon once on that, like how the brains are wired, and that is something that's always stuck with me too. But I think that I feel like this world is just lacking people who are grounded. because we are continually distracted by things.
Yeah.
You know, what is buzzing right now on social media that I'm supposed to go look at, and how many likes did I get on whatever, and what is someone else's opinion on that? And I'm like, at some point, just turn off the noise and stay grounded in who you are and your purpose and your mission. And I'm okay with not being on social media for a week. Like, yes, I know I need to post more on LinkedIn. Sorry, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that I'm grounded daily in who I am and my integrity and my principles, so that I can go lead with the absolute best of me. And I'm exhausted on Friday because I've given it everything I can. I don't have time for Facebook. I'm sorry.
Right.
That was a tangent. I don't know if I answered your question at all.
That's all right. I'm actually way better fasting on social media than food. I'm just saying,
Yes,
right? I mean,
yes, amen.
But I want to tell you, I want to jump on your bandwagon for just a second. And this is a really strong opinion. Women have had a dramatic impact on our industry in a lot of ways. But in my opinion, the most impactful element in our entire industry, and this is discussed behind closed doors because a lot of men don't want to admit it, I'm just telling you right now, is women in our industry have helped men understand how critical it is to stop and genuinely care about the people that they're around.
That's awesome.
I mean, unequivocally, I've seen that. And the reason why I say behind closed doors is because a lot of times when you're trying to train a CEO or a manager or a team leader, which is what we do all day, every day, you close the door and you look at the people in the organization who are modeling the things that we're trying to teach. And when it comes to emotionally connecting and truly loving people, oftentimes we're using a woman as the example and how they're affecting their team. And it's easy for them to go down the emotional connection route. But when we start pulling out data points and you start looking at KPI performance, it's real.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
It is something that we see consistently. Now, I will tell you, it's been like evangelism, because the amount of men that I see genuinely stopping and loving people and caring about them has dramatically changed, right? And we talk about this all the time, is our industry is still delivering a post-World War II leadership model where it's get work, do work, and collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
And what we're now seeing, and I'm pushing hard, right, is helping leaders to get beyond projects and profit and into purpose and people. Projects and profit actually become way easier, still complicated, when people are engaged, right? And because what we're learning, and this is a people thing in our industry, is that passion drives people, people drive projects, projects drive profit. It's not the other way around.
Yeah.
And it takes leaders who are emotionally engaged and care about one another.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really more so coming together now than ever. And I've been there for 25 years. So
yeah. And I think it's giving people permission to act like that.
Yeah.
More than likely they have the instinct of that, but construction is viewed as this like big, tough, burly career, and not how you're supposed to act. But there's, Builder 2.0 does some training, and one of the first questions they always ask is, who here's had a hard hat thrown at them? And pretty much everybody in the audience will always throw their hand up. I mean, I've had one.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that really the way? Is that the industry that we want to be? Because how in the world are we going to retain or even attract talent if that's how we're going to treat people?
Yeah.
So I love that you said it's all about loving people, because it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my opinion what we're called to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And construction has so many people in it that need that love and want that love.
Yeah.
And if we can provide that to them on a job site or in an office, I love to seeing the transition of what's happening in our industry.
Yeah. So I got to tell you the story. So I was on an airplane this morning from Kansas City to DFW, and there were probably 30 to 40 tradesmen on that plane.
Yeah.
And I happened to be sitting right smack dab in the middle on the new, let's enjoy the Southwest new deal of how we're not anyway going off of that. But I got to tell you, I looked at those guys like, man, these dudes are badass, right? And I'm like, they got to talking, and I'm sitting there, and I realized we land in DFW, and how we started out and how we landed is the same culture. And what I realized is that, and these are all, like, I was sitting in a big group of Herzog guys, right? I mean, they're big, tough, burly, badass dudes, right? And what dawned on me more than anything else was the amount of these guys were smiling. Like, it wasn't that they were jacking around or joking. Like, they were just smiling.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And when you think about what's the picture of our industry, what's the picture of your brand, how do your guys and gals work on job sites? Just the fact that they're smiling and enjoying one another. I mean, it just was I was like, these are our dudes. Like, this is us, right?
I love
this was a breath of fresh air.
That's the narrative that we have to tell. And that's what I love about the videos and, the partnership with Harp and Sling is let's get the stories out there of the people in construction versus this narrative that the media is trying to tell you about what it's like to be in our industry that is false.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the amazing people that are in it because that's what's going to attract people and retain them.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so switching to some of the challenging parts of our industry that I think a lot of us are helping overcome. It's 2026, 2027-ish, right? We've come a long way. Tough question. Are there still disadvantages for women in construction in 2026, 2027?
I'm a super positive person, so this is always a hard one for me to, and I can't see a downside.
Yeah.
I can't see a downside if you're a female who is interested in this type of career to saying, I can't think of a downside. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get my niece right now to be an estimator. Mm-hmm. And so there are areas that are challenging though. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of the way that it is. The really, really amazing thing that has happened though is there are now more women. Mm-hmm. And so there are more mentors out there. Yeah. And that's the piece that I think that was the disadvantage. If I could think of one thing that was really hard for me. Yeah. I didn't really have a mentor until I was about 33, a female mentor. I had a ton of male mentors, and man, they were my champion and voices in rooms that I wasn't in. Yeah. And so, but having somebody who's actually walked in those steps and can help guide you through situations, I'll get probably one text or phone call a month from a young female in our Young Constructors Council, one of them, asking how would I handle this situation on a job site. Yeah. And it's rare, but it still happens. Right. And so I think that those are the hardest things is just when you come across a situation and maybe you don't have another female on your job site. And so I thankfully had some males who helped me navigate some tough situations on job sites that helped. And so I think that you can find advocates in the male world that can help you. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there are still some challenges that we are working through, but it's also, I'm going to go back to that being grounded, almost taking a step back and looking at the situation and not freaking out, not panicking, but handling it in a respectful and a professional way versus going on social media and blasting a company or a person. And, let's handle this in a responsible way. The world is broken. Not everything is perfect, but let's think about how we react to things too. And maybe there's a middle area that we could get to. Okay, so if you are an emerging leader, if you're young in our industry and you're truly trying to find your path and way, or if you're responsible for that type of a person, or maybe you've been in the industry for a long time and you're still trying to figure out what you want to do with your career, I sincerely hope that you've been able to pick something up about your own journey by listening to Meloni's. This has been really helpful. I absolutely love and respect everything that you're doing here. And I feel like there is so much progress being made in this area. It's really a shining light, if you will, in our industry and nationally. So I'm really grateful for your time and thanks for doing this with us. This was so much fun. Yeah. We could talk for a couple hours. It was fun. So if there's something that you need help with, reach out to us, subscribe, click. These things are important to us. I hope that you are truly starting to see how significantly you're needed, just like you were able to see how significantly Meloni's needed. Our world needs you. It's going to take some courage. Lead on.